Hey y'all, it's Durfla. It's been a while since I last spoke to everyone, and I want to talk about what happened on the day I was almost assassinated. It was the scariest day of my life in all 89 years. I have never experienced such a terrible travesty, and I want to talk about it. It's now been 32 days. August 9th, 2024, Los Angeles, California. I was holding one of my biggest rallies yet to a very large crowd of very excited people. I was about 30 minutes into my speech when I received news that there was, in fact, a very large crowd outside who were not violent yet, but were vocal and aggressive. I could hear, I was speaking and I could hear them cheering, death to Durfla, kill Durfla, death to Durfla. It was probably about 15 minutes after the chants began when I heard there was a serious threat. I spoke to one of my security people. I went off stage for a moment. Spoke to one of my security people, and they informed me that the situation was under control, but that there were violent people outside. They advised me to make my own decision. I could either stay on stage or leave, and looking back, I probably should have left. However, at the time, I was told that it was completely safe. So I went back out on stage after having a guest speaker talk for a little bit, the mayor of Los Angeles. And when I went back out, there was a very large crowd now gathered near the entrance of my rally. So the rally was being held in an airplane hangar at a smaller airport not far from LAX. Hours before the event, Stacy Williamson was seen at LAX, and prior to that, she said that she was going to kill me just a couple hours before. So I heard this crowd, and then I didn't know that they had got into the stadium, into the event inside the hangar, the airplane hangar. So, there's the two walls and then the back wall. I'm right in front of the back wall on my stage, on my podium, talking. And I'm up higher than the crowd. And it was almost like seeing a dog run through a wheat field, from above. I'm sure you can imagine it. Just think of a wheat field and scurrying through. You could see the wheat moving. And that's what I saw, but not with wheat, with people. I saw scurrying coming toward me pretty darn quick. And I looked over to my top security advisor, and he gave me a thumbs up. I, again, believed it was under control. So I was actually talking about election integrity, as that has been a discussion in past elections, and it's just kind of an important thing to talk about. And then I hear this screaming, and I look down, and there's a mob of people with guns, and they're shooting at the rally goers, at the babes. And I was at a loss for words. The gunshots started ringing out, and I didn't know, behind me, there's crowds to both sides of me. One, a mob a little violent group, had come from the middle where they were shooting innocent people and made their way to my right side, came up on the stage and just started attacking. I didn't know that I was being, I had no clue what was going on. I just knew people were trying to hurt me, and they were hurting people in the crowd. I'm getting hit, I'm getting, kicked, and then I hear shots ring out and I go numb. I feel it, certain spots on my body just go numb. Immense pain. And I don't remember what happened past then. I wake up in the hospital and it's 3 days after the attack. It's now August 12th that I wake up. And I'm being told that 138 innocent rallygoers were murdered. Innocent men, women, elderly, children murdered. 138. It was a massacre. And my current now, campaign manager, Patty Barnes, comes up to me. And I had just woken up, I was still talking to my husband, Franklin, a couple of my children, some grandkids. And Patty comes up and says, Derfla, Margaret Keane is running for president. And I was just baffled. What does that even mean? To my recollection, I was still running for president. And I said, what? Margaret Keane's running for president. She's my vice presidential candidate. And then I got the full story. She claimed to have spoken with me. All that never happened. And so, I'm just at a loss for words. And I try calling Margaret the next few days over, a day or two. Margaret, she never picks up. I never sent her a voicemail because I was bitter. Margaret had left my ticket to launch her own. She's power hungry and bloodthirsty. And so I talked to Patty more, and, at the time, everything was just about getting back, getting healthy. Surviving was, the ultimate goal. And so, after a lot of discussion and talking, I never signed the papers to suspend my campaign. And I wasn't sure whether I was going to continue the campaign, but I wasn't going to suspend it because that's not what the American people deserve. They elected me to be their nominee. And I'm going to talk about this second special primary and my thoughts on that later. But she told me Margaret was running, and there was bitterness, but also confusion. Margaret had always been a very loving, honest, kind human being. And to hear that she backstabbed me so viciously, I was so just disgusted, really. And so I took a few days off. I was released from the hospital on August 22nd, when I was able to go home. And I saw the vicious remarks Margaret was making almost daily. And then I heard Kendall Hawkins was running for president a couple of days later. And it was around the time I made my major decision. I spoke with some people, researched whether it was even a possibility, and figured out the legal litigations. And I decided that I wasn't going to surrender. I wasn't going to back down until the American people said so. So on August 26th, I made the decision that I would be running, not suspending my campaign, and I'm running. On the 27th, we began working on my ad, and later that night it was published and scheduled to release on September the 10th. Everyone keeps asking me, Derfla, why did you wait so long to run? I was recovering from a brutal attack, and I was dealing with legal issues. I was faced with legal problems. There was pushback saying you can't run, so I've been fighting it quietly. Yesterday I announced that I would be running and that I was not going to back down. And I stand by that. I'm not going to back down until the American people say so. I'm not going to let some assassins try and kill me. I'm not going to let some crazy people try and kill me. I'm not going to let Margaret Keane try and get me out. I'm not going to let Kendall Hawkins tell me that it's unconstitutional. I will leave when the American people say it's time to go. So I decided to run. And so that brings me to why I decided to wait so long. Legal litigations and getting healthy were the main concerns. And my thoughts on the special election, the secondary primary. It's bullcrap. The American people elected me as their Democratic nominee. Margaret Keane incited this by announcing her candidacy, and Kendall Hawkins ran to the hill with it. I understand that at the time, Margaret Keane was the only presidential candidate. Even though I was still in, no one remembered. I don't know what got into the media. But so it took some time, and there's people out there, including Kendall Hawkins, saying it's too late, Derfla can't do this. I never signed the papers. Nope, I never did. And you can keep saying that, Kendall. But the fact of the matter is, I was elected and she was not. And like Margaret Keane, Kendall Hawkins stabbed Julia Tuckett in the back. Kendall Hawkins calls me power hungry. If I was power hungry, I would have just stolen this election already. Kendall Hawkins is the one who left her her presidential candidate to make her own candidacy because she knew she had no competition whatsoever with Margaret Keane. So it's bullcrap. And a lot of people are saying it's not fair for me to come back in. I never left. Margaret Keane is crazy. Kendall Hawkins is not a good candidate. And she says that I will be a dictator, I will be a communist. She has more progressive ideas than I do. My new campaign slogan is called Time to Heal the Divide, because, Judy McMillans, she called me some nasty names, raging homosexual whore being the top one. Kendall Hawkins just called me a communist and a dictator. I have yet to call Kendall Hawkins a single insult, and I will not call her any, because she is an all-right candidate. But there's better alternatives. So, Kendall Hawkins says it's too late. One, I never left. And two, you stole my nomination. Let's be real. You stole my nomination. And then, because as I'm filming this, these news articles keep popping up on my feed, and I can't help but notice every single one of them repeats the word many. And as a librarian, I'm a grammar Nazi. And I know, I've been working on it. My husband, Franklin, tells me all the time that I gotta lay off him for, texting me TTYL, and whatnot. And I keep getting these news alerts, news thingies popping up on my feed. And they're all saying, many Americans feel this, many Americans feel that, many Democrats feel this, many Democrats feel that. But they're all from different sources. But they keep saying the same lines. So, I'm not one to be a conspiracy theorist, but I have always been known to just ask questions. That was one of my campaign slogans against both Judy McMillans and Alex Robertson. So I think I might bring it back. Why are all these news sources saying the same stuff? Is there someone behind them? Someone who starts with the initials K and H? Just ask questions, y'all. Now, to the last one that literally just came up. It said that many Americans feel that it is unconstitutional for me to swoop in and let Kane and Hawkins battle it out, and then me just come on in. That is the most hypocritical horse dookie I've ever heard. I won the Democratic nomination in historical levels. I am the one who was nominated by the Republican or the Democratic Party. I am the one who was the Democratic nominee for over an entire month. Let it be known 2 months, really. Or you could even argue the entire primary season, because everyone knew I would win. They came in and swooped under. I had never, ever announced that I would be suspending my campaign. And yet both of them, Kendall Hawkins included, came in and stole my nomination. The Democratic Party removed it. I never suspended my campaign. And they both come in and swoop it out like the news article said, and swoop in and steal the party. And I want to make this point. The news article also said that it's unconstitutional. What is unconstitutional is Margaret Kane and Kendall Hawkins, really, calling on me to be forced to drop out because I came in and swooped in too late. It's unconstitutional to not have a fair and free election. We all know if it was Margaret Kane versus Kendall Hawkins would win in a huge landslide. And It is unconstitutional to deny me the right to run. I have gone through nearly 11 days of law and court dates and stuff behind the scenes that no one has seen and no one will see because no one cares, if I'm being honest. It's some of the most boring stuff in my life. Legality and legal issues, they're not my jam. And so it is unconstitutional at best and dictatorial at worst to suggest that me coming in and, reaffirming that I am running for president, unconstitutional. It's stupid. And so the primary is, let's see, today's the 11th. The primary's on the 15th. I will be doing one campaign event on the 14th. No, two campaign events. One on the 13th, one on the 14th. And I will be resuming, sorry. I have a very dry voice. I will be resuming my campaign, going to all the scheduled places and to all those cities I missed while I was in unfortunate circumstances. I will be touring those cities after the election. I have full confidence that I will be winning this secondary primary thing, and assuming I do not beat Judy McMillans, I still will do them. If I beat her, they will be victory tour dates. So yeah. If there's any questions, do ask. Okay, I want to hear what the people have to say, because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. It's not what Kendall Hawkins demands. It's what you want. It's what you ask. So, that is all for now. I want to thank you all for listening. And again, if there's any questions, submit them. I want to hear from you. And then one last thing. As for Kendall Hawkins, just a couple days ago, she said that she she said she supported my campaign. She said that she was a Derfla supporter. She said it in her video. And to that, I want to say it doesn't seem like it, because just a couple minutes ago you called me a dictator and a communist. Not true whatsoever. I actually am one of the most moderate candidates, more moderate than Kendall Hawkins, more moderate than Margaret Kane, Alex Robertson. I would argue that I'm more bipartisan than Judy McMillans, Marie McFolmer, Julia Tuckett. And let's not forget, if there's any Republicans on the fence who want to vote in this election, in this special primary, do it. Do it. Vote for me. Because Kendall Hawkins vowed to educate children on LGBTQ issues. That is not the place of the school to be telling kids what their mommies and daddies, who they're attracted to. No. So, that's all for now. I want to remind everyone, If they have questions, submit them below. I want to hear what you have to say. As for the breaking news, y'all, it's 2024. You can't believe everything you see on the internet. Honestly, you shouldn't believe any of it, especially if it's coming from these news outlets who are saying the words many, okay? Keep an eye out for misinformation, and remember, it is time we heal the divide. Thank you and good night.